Alright guys, are you trying to go from this all the way to this? If so, then I think you might have come to the right place. This is Unbreakable Patches, and welcome to the 4th video in my For Honor character counter guide. Alright, so today we're going to be covering the Orochi. The Orochi has some brutal combos that can shred your health down pretty quickly, with great mobility, and my favorite counterattack options in the game. If you ever get blitzed down by an Orochi in a few seconds, it can definitely be easy to get frustrated, but once you get used to his toolkit, you can find that he can actually be somewhat predictable. The Orochi doesn't really have any passives you really need to worry about, unless you want to count his weakened guard, which all that does is make it so he can't block in the same direction for very long. However, this really won't be an issue for very many experienced Orochi players, so I don't feel like it's very noteworthy at high level play. Alright, so the Orochi has 3 different ways which he can use to close the distance. He can dash in and do a grab, he can do a dashing top light attack, or he also has Storm Rush. So I'm going to start off with Storm Rush. Storm Rush can either come from the left or the right side, and it's very obvious which side it's going to come from because you'll see the Orochi, he'll swing his sword over to the side that it's going to come from. It also has a pretty long startup time, so this move is going to be best used as the Orochi to counter you while you're already in an animation. Now that I've gotten used to Storm Rush's timing, if an Orochi uses Storm Rush on me without waiting for me to start up an attack of my own, I basically just look at it as a free parry. It's worth keeping in mind, however, that the Orochi can cancel out a Storm Rush in the beginning of its animation or while he's waiting. Alright, so next up is the Orochi's dashing up light attack. Lightning Strike. This is his quickest and most reliable closer in my opinion. I tend to keep my guard at a neutral high when I'm fighting Orochis, and I recommend you do too. And this move is one of the reasons why. His only other real gap closer is his dashing grab, which really isn't even half as fast as the Peacekeeper's. In fact, it's not even listed as a real move in this game. Nonetheless, I see a ton of Orochis doing this online, so I thought it'd be worth noting. If you have an Orochi basically at mid-range with you, expect him to either do the dashing light or the dashing grab. If he decides to do a Storm Strike, there's a long enough startup animation that you should be able to adjust your guard. Alright, so now the Orochi has some pretty decent options when he's in close quarters. His most popular move probably, which I see a lot of Orochis try to spam, is his double top light attack. There's no name for it that I could find, but basically the way it works is kind of like a buy one get one free deal, where if he lands one top light attack, he's guaranteed another one for free, and there's not much you can do about it. So it's kind of similar to the Warden's side light attack, how he just gets 2 off in a row if he lands the first one. This move is the other reason I recommended keeping your neutral guard high while you're fighting an Orochi, just because this move is kind of annoying and it can hurt if you let him get it off too much. Now the Orochi can also use 2 heavies in a row. However, they actually come out kind of slow, and they're not going to see a lot of use in a normal fight. Usually when a Orochi is throwing out a heavy, he's usually going to feint it and turn it into a zone attack, and that's really what you got to look out for. The heavies are slow enough that you can usually parry or block them on their own if they're not setting them up. With the heavy attacks, 90% of the time you're going to see an Orochi throw a heavy attack, it's going to be after a guard break, and it's going to be guaranteed. There's not much you can do about it at that point. So be on the lookout for an Orochi to feint a heavy attack, because usually Orochis like to feint heavy attacks and then cancel them out to go into the zone. So the Orochi's zone attack is really good actually. It comes out incredibly fast, and you would have to be pretty quick to be able to block it on pure reflex. The only good thing about this move for us is that it uses up a ton of the Orochi's stamina, more than half when it's used cold without a feint. And if he feints into the zone, it's going to use up about 90% of his total stamina. So if you can actually predict this move and parry it, it'll completely drain him of stamina, and you can usually get a grab in of your own. That being said, it's really hard to parry this move, and should really only be done if you know it's coming beforehand. Otherwise, just stick to a normal block. And that's kind of the key to his zone attack. You almost have to predict the move before it comes out to have a chance of reacting to it. Now, the Orochi has some pretty good sidestep attacks as well. He'll always attack from the side that he's dodging towards, and they actually move him a pretty good distance as well. They're pretty easy to land and they're reliable enough, but they wouldn't be my preferred way of counterattacking, but I'll get to that in a second. Orochi players really love this move, so one of the best things I found to do is to try to use a feint to lure them into going for a sidestep attack, and then parrying the attack. It won't work for everyone, but it's still a pretty reliable strategy for most Orochi players. Alright, so the Orochi has, in my opinion, the best deflects in the game, and if not the best, he definitely has the fucking coolest. So when the Orochi gets a deflect, he has a few different options. He can go for a grab like any other deflect character can, which is actually pretty effective, or he can perform an unstoppable attack called Wind Gust, which will do about 2/3 of a health bar. There isn't much you can do about this, and the only good thing about this move is it doesn't do a full HP bar, so it can't finish you when you're on your last little bar of health. But actually, by far, the most interesting thing in the Orochi's kit to me is Hurricane Blast. I almost don't even want to mention what this move can do, because I've actually never seen an Orochi use this move effectively in combat. But I'm going to warn you guys, just in case you ever go against a really pro Orochi who just absolutely bodies you with this shit, so you won't be able to say Patches didn't warn you. Think about the Warden's Shoulder Bash and the way that can transform into a grab, but way better. So on the surface, Hurricane Blast does huge damage and has a pretty long startup time. The attack is unblockable, but due to its pretty long startup, it's possible for a lot of different characters to land quick attacks before Hurricane Blast can even land, which I think might be one of the main reasons I haven't seen a lot of this. Now the cool thing about Hurricane Blast for me is that it has a very shiny and distracting startup animation, which can actually be cancelled into a few different things. One of which is the quicker and weaker version, Wind Gust. This is kind of going to be Hurricane Blast's version of a oh shit button that will allow the Orochi to at least get a little bit of damage off if the Hurricane Blast is looking sketchy. Alright, he can also cancel this move into a pretty sweet looking guard break, which is actually pretty hard to react to since you're going to be worrying about the incoming stab. The Orochi can use this to counter you if you try to dodge the Hurricane Blast, so it's worthwhile to keep that in mind as well. Alright, he also has the option of dodging out of the animation, and I can only imagine how it would be if he dodged straight into another deflect. Dude, it would be absolutely disgusting if an Orochi got good at this move. But I've never really had to fight against someone who does do this, so I can't tell you for sure. But just me theory crafting, I would imagine the best counter for this would be going for a quick attack. You might get hit with the Wind Gust still, but if you get it deflected, that's kind of expected. It might force him to dodge, which that potentially could be bad for you, but it should at least stop his Hurricane Blast and his grab. If you guys have ever fought against an Orochi who uses this stuff, or if you guys know any better ways to counter this, let me know in the comment section below. I really do spend a really long time on these guides, so every like and sub really does mean a lot to me. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed or learned anything from this video, and go ahead and sub if you'd like to see more content like this. Also, let me know who you guys want me to do a counter guide on next. I really do go off like which class I see getting the most comments in my videos, so I'm not just bullshitting you guys telling me to comment on my videos. Also, I'm thinking about doing something special for when I hit 1,000 subs. Maybe I'll drop a character counter video and also like a highlight reel of some of my favorite fights with me commentating on them. I don't really know what I want to do yet. Let me know if there's anything special you'd like to see from me. So thanks again one more time, guys. I really appreciate all the support, and peace out.